I'm Jerry Citarella, and this is actually the first video in my new series, Jerry Citarella Presents, and thank you so much for watching. There's going to be a whole bunch of neat content on here. Hopefully, I think it's neat. Hopefully you do as well. And I wanted to start the first show off with something that's kind of broad, and I can build a lot of other content out of it. And it's a talk that I used to do live a lot. I haven't done it as much lately, but it's called Avoiding Your Wish I Would'ves, Messages from Your Future. And let me tell you how that came about. So I've been involved in my business, financial planning, for many, many years, and related businesses for well over 30 years. And a long time ago, I realized people that have been around longer than you have a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience, and a lot of lessons they can teach. So as I went through my day and through my business, I just always paid attention. I really kind of loved listening to older or really old people tell their stories. One day I got to spend some time with a World War II veteran. And I didn't care how long I was there, as long as he was willing to continue talking and telling me stories and sharing experiences, I was listening. And what I realized over the years is a lot of people have these regrets, I guess, what I call wish I would'ves. And that's just because that's the way they said it. I wish I would've. I wish I would've. Oh, I lived a great life, but I wish I would've. So what I've realized is there's some consistency in those over the years. And there's some things that kind of everybody says, and there's a bunch of different ones, obviously, but there's a few main ones. So I want to share some of those today. These are some of the biggest wish I would have. So this is I wish I would have, messages from your future, and hopefully this is something that you can learn from. So there's three main ones, and I'll get to them, and if you stay to the end, you're going to hear something really hard, really touching, really important. That's a lesson I got that I can pass on to you, something I didn't even know. But I think it's something that'll help you if you stay to the end. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start out with an ending to make this the beginning of this. So let me tell you the story. I was very, very lucky to work with a client. His name was Ray, and I have his permission to use this. And Ray was a wonderful man. He called me because he had to retire because unfortunately he had cancer. So Ray was forced to retire. He was going through a lot of chemo and radiation and all kinds of stuff. And I met he and his wife, and they came in and told me the situation. And throughout the years, he ended up beating cancer and surviving and being okay. And Ray had this way about him. Every time he wanted to say something serious, we were, talking and joking. And he was just a good guy. I mean, he worked at a big American company, drove a big American truck, had a big American Harley. He was just salt of the earth. Just loved the country, loved his family, simple guy, but really kind of neat. So we'd be talking, and every once in a while he would say, hey. And when Ray said, hey, I knew we were getting back down to business. And I'll tell you what that means in a little bit here. So one day, everything was going pretty well, and I got a phone call, and it was Ray. And I said, hey, Ray, how are you doing? And Ray said, hey. And I said, oh no, it's back. I just knew something in his tone. As soon as he said, hey, I just knew the cancer was back. He said, yeah, it's back. And I said, how bad? And he said, real bad. And so we talked a lot. He and his wife came into the office, and we did some planning around what we thought might happen. Then in private, he told me, no matter what happens to me, please just make sure you take care of my wife. So I said, okay, of course I will, Ray. I'll do that for you. So fast forward a little bit, and this wasn't a lot of time. Unfortunately, it came back aggressively, and Ray was in the hospital, and I had spoken to his wife, and she told me what was going on. So I called Ray. He was in the hospital, and there's a picture of Ray up on this video right now. You can see him. It's always hard for me to talk about. So I called Ray. We both knew he was not getting out of the hospital. We made believe he was getting out of the hospital, but we both knew he wasn't. So we had a conversation about some stuff. Hey, can't wait to see you when you get out. Yeah, little investment stuff, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden Ray said, hey. And it was that hey. And I knew we were about to get real serious, but this is probably more serious than ever because I knew Ray was about to give me his final words. These are the last things Ray was ever going to say to me, someone he's worked with and became friends with over the years. And so I obviously listened. I said, what, this man is going to put this wisdom out there, some message, something. I don't know what it was, but I was about to hear this man's last words to me, and whatever that was, I wanted to make sure I didn't miss a moment of it. So I said, yes, Ray. And all he said was, make sure you take care of that beautiful wife and those little girls of yours. And I said, you know I will, Ray. I'll see you soon. And he said, yep, I'll see you soon, buddy. And that was the last time we ever talked. So in his last moment, what Ray reminded me of is, with everything else going on in the world, my business, everything that we can worry about, everything we can shoot for, he just wanted to remind me that the most important thing in this world was my family. And unselfishly, he said, take care of my family. He didn't repeat taking care of his family. But that's one of the biggest regrets people have, is they go through life, they work hard, they're trying to I don't know, get a better position, make more money, whatever it is, running on the treadmill, the treadmill of life. And a lot of people I hear, the number one wish I would have is, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. So we all say it, we all try to do it. I'm very, very fortunate in my life that I've been able to spend a lot of time. I coached my kids in soccer, never missed a recital, did all that stuff. And, I've always told my wife I could probably make more money, but I just didn't want to have any regrets. And a lot of that comes from what I've heard from people giving me that advice that I listen to. So don't move so fast that you look back and realize, wow, my kid is 12 now, and last time I looked, he or she was 6. Don't miss the important stuff. There's always another day, there's always another dollar, but time doesn't stop, and family is what's most important to you. So I just want to remind you, number one wish I would have, believe it or not, is I wish I would have spent a little more time with my family. The second one is really about finances. And I'm a financial advisor, and I don't want you to think that this is me trying to sell you something, because that'll never be what these videos are. But ultimately, a lot of people say, I wish I would have saved more money. I wish I would have been a little bit more responsible. And a lot of people say, well, I may die tomorrow. I don't want to save it all for the future. Well, it's true. But I always tell people, you could die tomorrow, but it's very, very, very likely you won't. So you at least have to plan for it in some way. And people have priorities. What's your priority? Is it a big house? Is it cars? Is it designer clothes or purses or shoes? One of the biggest things people waste money on is Starbucks. Sorry, I know I just upset a lot of people. But imagine what you could do if you just did 50% less waste, whatever that is. But we've gotten to this place where people feel like they need so much. And, I always hear people say, well, no, it's just for me because I like these things. I believe people like these things when people say, oh, that's a nice thing, and it makes you feel good. And I get it. We all get sucked in. Nobody's perfect, and I'll never stand here and say I am. But I think we get sucked into it a lot. I mean, I grew up in a 975 or 80 square foot house with one bathroom, and there were 4 of us. We made it. These days, people are embarrassed if they don't live in a house that's 2,500 or 3,000 square feet. So how did we get to this place where everything had to be so big and so good, and labels and brands and all this stuff? There's something called an A to B car. And if you don't know what that means, it's a car that can get you from point A to point B. That's all we need. Now, what do we want? We want something nice and flashy and fast and whatever, but we want something that people go, wow, nice car. It makes us feel good. I get it. But ultimately, does that help us along the way? So when it comes to finances, there's some simple lessons, and one of these future videos will go into this quite a bit. But when it comes to finances, just pay yourself first a little bit. Just be organized. And from the beginning, if you're young, just know, always save a little bit for yourself first, whether it's 10%, 12%, 15, something in a retirement plan or some other accounts. If you need help, find it. I can help you, obviously, but again, this isn't promoting me. This is just letting you know there's people out there that can help you. If you're older, maybe you need to be a bit more aggressive, and sometimes when you get too old and you don't have enough, it's a little bit discouraging. And sometimes you say, well, why bother at this point? No, there's always a bother. I can tell you story after story about people I've worked with that were in the later ages, and we still made it work. So just know, time isn't going to stop for you. You only have one chance to start saving and investing and budgeting today. Yesterday was better than today, but today's still better than tomorrow. Yesterday was better than today, but today's still better than tomorrow. So what is it? Did you start it yesterday? If not, great. Do you still have today? Don't wait till tomorrow. And a lot of people say, well, I'll get started next year, and I'm not going to go into this. We'll do this on another show. But the power of compounding interest on investments is incredible. And if you're afraid of investments, I understand, bank accounts, whatever it is, just make sure that you keep your budget wise, keep it tight, understand what's truly important, understand the difference between needs and wants. I need shoes. I want nice shoes that people will say, whoa, cool shoes. I need an A to B car. I want a Bentley convertible would be nice. You know, so what is it in reality that you actually need, and then go with that. So first one is spend more time with your family. The second one is I wish I would have saved a little bit more money and been a little bit more conscious about my planning. And then the last one I hear quite often is I wish I would have taken better care of myself. And that's the one that typically surprises people. What happens a lot is as we get older, it gets harder to do things. We get busy, we get stagnant. Before you know it, we get a little heavy, we get a little unhealthy. Blood pressure goes up, cholesterol goes up, and we joke about it. Oh, I have some normal things for my age, when in reality, a little maintenance will help you avoid those or at least delay them. And a lot of times people retire and then they get to the point where they're completely stagnant, and unfortunately their health goes away and knees start hurting and shoulders start hurting, and they say, well, I've always wanted to take this cruise, but I can't because of whatever it might be. So I really hear that one a lot, that I wish I would have taken better care of my health before I got to the point where I couldn't do as much as I wanted to at this stage of my life. And I'll tell you, I was kind of going down that path. I had a back injury a long time ago, all the excuses everybody else has, and I started letting myself go a little bit, and I was getting a little less active, and something just clicked in me. Well, I know what part of it was. My cholesterol was high. There were some, people that were sick and dying around me that kind of woke me up a little bit. And I said, you know what, I'm done. And I found this challenge at a gym, and I decided I'm going to make a difference in my life. So I just said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I used to years and years ago be into competitive bodybuilding and fitness. So I knew what to do. I just hadn't done it, which really is bad because I had no excuses. But I decided to go forward with this challenge, and I said for 90 days, I'm going to commit to it and I'm going to go for it. And sure enough, I got myself in the best shape I've been in a lot of years. And here's a pic of that. So I'm very proud of this. The before, not so proud. The after, pretty proud. And more importantly, I just felt good. My cholesterol went down. I was able to move again and do a lot of things I used to do, and just felt like at that point, I had a whole bunch of years with my kids to my life. It gave me a lot more opportunity to spend more time with my family, and also maybe be more efficient at work. When you're not healthy, you just don't feel as good, and more days off, and you get a little more tired. So I think I just did a lot of stuff here for myself and my future and my family, and setting an example for my family as well. So what happened next? Another challenge, and my wife went along with me. And she was already in great shape. She just got in better shape, and she's still in amazing shape. So we try to do this together now. And I'm 56 years old now, and honestly, I feel pretty darn good. But had I not really kind of stepped it up, I think 10 years ago now is when these challenges were, who knows what it would look like now. So again, yesterday was better than today. Today's still better than tomorrow. We all know what we need to do. And if you're in amazing shape and healthy, wonderful. If you're not, you know it. And think about the future, and is it going to get better or is it going to get worse? So I'd say take action on that now, because that is one of the big three wish I would have that people tell me. Wish I would have taken better care of my health. So as I go throughout my day, I get to hear a lot of lessons from people, and throughout this series I'm going to share a lot of those things. There are a lot more of them, and I think there's some more specifics I can go into. But really what this is about is just making sure that you take inventory. What am I doing? What could I be doing? There's 1,000 self-help videos out there, and just do this and set goals and it all sounds really easy, but none of it's easy until you make the decision to do it. So hopefully this can help motivate you, and I want to give you my last lesson here in a second. But my goal with this and the rest of this video series is just to provide you with some information that could be helpful based on some experiences I've had, whether it be in business, personal life, health, whatever it might be. But ultimately, I want you to be better, and if there's any way I can help with that, then I'm here for you. So I'm going to get to the end. Don't go away. But if you have any suggestions, you have any comments, please put them in, anything you'd like to hear about. But ultimately, this is for you, and like and subscribe and all that good stuff. But here's probably the most important message I can give you. So this one's always hard. I had a horrible experience many years ago, 2001. Unfortunately, my mom got diagnosed with cancer. And kind of ironic, because one of the last photos I have of her before we found out she got diagnosed was at an American Cancer Society Relay for Life event, where I remember she was saying, you know, I don't think I'm going to do much walking. My hip's kind of hurting. I have a cyst or something. That ultimately turned into cancer, turned into metastatic melanoma. Long story about that, maybe in another video. But we went through absolute hell. It was fast, and she ended up in a hospital, and then she ended up, you know, getting worse and worse quickly. We tried to save her. We tried to do some stuff. Again, a whole nother story, but I want to really kind of get to the point here. So my mom, beautiful lady. Now, you see the picture here. She's like this. She hated taking pictures. It was funny. Every picture I have of her, almost without exception, when I look back, was her going like this. Because if you said smile, she was just uncomfortable taking pictures, and she would always go like that. So this picture you're looking at here was actually at my wedding when somebody said smile, and what did she do? She did her little thing. So she just had this great, I don't know, character about her, and very, very kind of quiet, loved to have fun. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful woman, and not because she's my mom. I was just very lucky to have her. So in her final days, when we knew we were going to lose her, there was this moment, my dad, my brother, and I, and a couple close friends and a cousin were in the room, and for whatever reason, we all just kind of took turns being alone with her for a moment. Everybody kind of went to one side of the room, and it just kind of happened. I don't even think it was planned. And I went in to say my final words to my mom, the last thing I was ever going to say to her when I thought she was coherent enough to understand it. So I leaned in, and I hadn't put any thought into this. You know, this isn't something you plan for. And when I leaned into her, it just hit me that there was nothing I had to say, nothing I needed to say. There were no regrets. There were no wish I would haves with our relationship. And I mean, I knew we had a good relationship, and I always felt very fortunate about that. But in that moment, I just went, wow, this is amazing. And all I said is, you're the best mom ever. I love you. Thank you, and goodbye. And it was so, I don't know, satisfying in a moment that was horrible. But I just want to tell you, if there's anybody in your life, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your cousins, you know, especially these days with politics and everything else pushing everybody apart, I was lucky. And to this day, I still just am so satisfied and so happy and love that, even though we lost her, to have such a great relationship with no regrets. So if there's anybody you have in your life that you think, maybe I need to reconnect, just do it. You know, unfortunately, sometimes you get that call and it's too late, and then you regret that forever. So I was lucky. Make sure you're just as lucky. And if there's someone in your life that you need to rekindle a relationship, you need to clear something up, clear the air, say you're sorry. You know, don't make them say they're sorry if it's not going to, whatever it is, just know that, again, time is short. The clock is ticking. You only have so much time. So make sure that you clear the air. You give somebody a hug, you get to the point where if it's your last words to them, you don't have to say I'm sorry or anything else. You can just say thank you, I love you, and goodbye. So that's my message for today. Avoiding your wish I would haves. These are messages from your future experiences that people have had that I'm sharing with you. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you can benefit from it, and just know there's gonna be a lot of content on this page. Jerry Citarella Presents. And lots of guests and lots of business stuff and all kinds of stuff. So we'll get more about that later. But I just wanted to start this off with something kind of general in nature, but something that I feel is extremely important. So remember, make sure that you spend time with your family. Make sure that you're conscious about saving and budgeting and your spending so you're in a good place later. And make sure you take care of your health, because once you let that go, it's really hard to bring it back. And you don't want to have all this money you saved and a bunch of great family around you, but not be able to go anywhere because your health won't allow you. So again, I'm Jerry Citarella. Jerry Citarella Presents. Thank you for your time, and come back and check out more videos. I appreciate it.